You're listening to ZATR Radio. ZATR Radio.
Follow us on Twitter at ZATR Radio.
Hello everybody, and welcome once again to another ZATR Radio broadcast.
And we're being disconnected continually on the live connection this evening, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about that. But what do we have lined up for this evening? We're still recording, so let's record.
Alan, you there?
Guys,
Yeah, I'm here.
that's it.
All
that's
right,
it.
well,
Fantastic.
welcome. Shall we carry on?
Yeah, let's carry on. Faiz,
Okay,
you wanted to give us a little something in the introduction?
Yes. I want to just say I trust that everybody had a wonderful weekend, without any drama like we're having this evening or any traumatic experiences, I'm mentioning trauma not to lower your spirits, of course, but because I'd like to tell you about a free talk, actually, something positive that's happening. And this free talk is being held by Dr. Soren Ventergott at the Kloof Medispa in Cape Town tomorrow evening. That's Monday evening. We actually had planned to have Dr. Ventergott on the show possibly this evening or at some time, but due to communication issues, this was not possible. So the topic of his free talk it's actually called Healing Trauma and Becoming Happy. And he'll be holding a series of workshops in this regard, including one on a quick and effective method of healing the trauma, specifically of rape, because rape is a huge crisis across the world, but in South Africa also. Anyway, Dr. Ventergott is a medical doctor, and he has a very, very long CV, which I'll not do justice to in this short notice. But I will mention, that his qualifications include an MD, he's a doctor of medicine. He's also a master of medical science and MMed science. And he also has a master of science degree. And he's the director of the Quality of Life Institute in Denmark. And he obviously has conducted research in several areas, including trauma and healing. And today he's the author of 10 popular books, some of them bestsellers, and hundreds of papers and articles in magazines and scientific journals. So if you're interested in hearing what Dr. Ventergott has to say, and you are in Cape Town, you go along to Kloof Medispa at 99 Kloof Street at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. And as I said, it's a free talk and sounds very interesting. So, Julian, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here with you. Our connection doesn't seem to be holding up this evening. I can't explain why. Maybe it's all our listeners from the United States that are to blame for jumping us off, because I can observe some of them here, but we're getting knocked off here constantly. We're not staying up. So
crashing
just to let you guys know what's going on.
A lot from the US. That's good.
They are, yeah. Your marketing's working. We're all marketing
the server can't handle that.
On a shoestring budget here. But yeah, we've got this week. I mean, that Faiz just gave mention there, the lovely talk that's happening. When, Faiz, exactly?
That's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Kloof Street, Medispa, 99 Kloof Street in Cape Town. Healing trauma and becoming happy. And he's an expert in this field, Dr. Ventergott. He's from Denmark. So yeah, if you're in Cape Town, go along. It should be interesting.
Cool. But tonight,
anyway,
tonight we've got Ken Dost back with us. We've also got Alan Madden on the line. A lot of you guys familiar out here in South Africa with Alan Madden. Always busy online, spreading the word, telling us what's actually going on. Doing some good work out there. So we've got him on the line with us tonight. So we're expecting an exciting little discussion. Yeah. Ken's going to give us a bit of an update about what's been going on in the week. He sounds very frustrated. So, tell us about that, Ken.
It's been hello everybody. By the way, hi Alan, nice meeting you. It's been a trying week. Yes, it's been a very trying week. Monday we had our summary judgment hearing, which was actually a motion to vacate the summary judgment because of new evidence I found that demonstrated that HSBC, as trustee for the owner trust and who was bringing suit against us, did in fact sell all rights to the alleged loan, alleged note, shall we say, to Maiden Lane in 2011. So there's no possible way that under United States law that HSBC could possibly bring suit against us. So we filed this, and the judge had ruled for HSBC summary judgment 4 months ago, and for some reason has never entered it. So we had filed a couple of motions, and we filed this new motion, and we finally got a hearing. So that hearing was this past Monday, and I'm truly outraged by the behavior of the courts. I'm totally convinced and disgusted that they are, and pretty well convinced that the courts are in fact crooked and in fact on the payroll of banks. Our hearing was scheduled for a 1 hour period, and the courthouse that we're in I'm in a small Bohunk County in Oregon, Columbia County, which is a big, expansive county, but the population is rather small. So there's only 4 judges within the county, and it's a very old county. So the courthouse is well over 100 years old. So it's by a lot of creeks and not insulated walls, so on and so forth. So we were sitting at the bench waiting for our esteemed, distinguished, honorable judge to come out, and he instead chose to make a personal phone call and expend 20 minutes of our hearing time, and the conversation was very clear, and he was talking about how his payouts were going to be scheduled on an annuity, on a $500,000 annuity over the course of the next 20 years, which just simply appalled me, because I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, annuity, that's exactly what these things become, is an annuity. So I'm pretty much, I don't know if it was in our case or not, but it was awful suspect, the conversation itself on this annuity. So he finally comes out after 20 minutes, and he basically already had his mind made up, and he said that our motion was denied to vacate because it was the information that our evidence was inadmissible hearsay, as he said, which is not true at all, because it's very much admissible under under our laws and the way that it was filed. And he proceeded to look at the note that HSBC said, well, we got the original note here. And so he's sitting on a bench, he's looking at the note and everything. And my arguments are, of course, go to the derivative. So I start bringing up a derivative, and he basically shut me down. He said, I've heard enough about this derivative. I don't want to hear any more about this. I'm making my ruling. They've got summary judgment. And then as I'm objecting to this, now this is 20, so we got 20 minutes that it started late, and then we're into about 20 minutes of this hearing. And as soon as he does this, I start to object. And what does he do? He shuts off the mic. And he said, that's okay. Let him go ahead and talk. I've shut off the mic. So so I'm convinced that after that day, I was pretty much convinced, yes, our court, there's something seriously wrong with our courts.
Criminal.
Our courts are not acting as they're supposed to.
Criminal is the word there, Ken.
Pardon me?
Criminal is the word.
Terminal. They need to be put out of their misery.
No. Criminal. Criminal with a C. You know?
Oh,
they are criminals.
Yes, they are, and I'm pretty much convinced of that now. I have people, and I hear the stories all across the country of people that complain about the same thing.
But you know what? You know what you're basically saying as well is that exactly what BT said last week. BT was saying last week that different. Well, it's not exactly what he's saying, but it actually goes against what he was saying, because he was saying last week that different processes can have different outcomes in different jurisdictions. But you know what? The predominant outcome seems to be that these guys don't want to listen to the truth. That's the truth of it.
Right. They don't want to. Well, the fact of the matter is that they have this assumption that there's an assumed valid agreement. And they don't want to hear anything outside of that, but they will. They'll start hearing it, because people are going to start. I'm hoping people are going to abandon this foreclosure defense nonsense and go after this and go after for what it really is. It's not a valid agreement. And the judges, though, as long as there's this notion that there's a valid agreement in place, then we're never going to get anywhere with this stuff. So I mean, we've got to get, in my opinion, we've got to start banging the chains and banging the rattles or shaking the chains or however that expression is, to let it be known that, hey, this is not an agreement. And the more we start doing that, start pressing that, hopefully we can break through on these courts. But these courts are definitely, they're definitely criminal. throughout our whole case, I've been outraged by the court's behavior. They've had a summary judgment that should have never been ruled. It was ruled 2 weeks before our response was even due. So we have all these issues with the court's behavior throughout this case. But I was really, I mean, Monday's hearing really just settled it for me, and really just I left there so damn disgusted, and just really to the point of this is ridiculous. Something's got to be done about this. This isn't right. And then we had the Baltimore riots this week, and one of the comments that our President Obama said in reference to the police officers that were arrested was, well, they're entitled to due process and they're entitled to the rule of law. So I'm like, okay, where the hell is our due process and the rule of law? I mean,
I saw that post of yours. I think I commented exactly that on it. Actually, where's our due process? Those Baltimore riots are insane though, because that's actually just a reflection of like where people's heads are at and what they will end up doing when things do come to halt. And this is why I think work like this is so important. We need to keep trying to tell people about this stuff, because we can't have people losing their heads out there when it all comes down, because that's exactly the response the elite wants from us, so that we can lose our heads and they can give us a new answer and everything's going to be okay, So
right. Well, I mean, I'm kind of mixed on that. I mean, the riots were a bad reflection on Baltimore and a horrible reflection of violence. But in the aftermath, look what it's done. I mean, look at all the protests afterwards have been peaceful, and it's really started. It's kind of morphed itself into a movement. And I hate to say that, man. I certainly don't want to advocate about violence by no means. But I mean, it's a shame that it has to come to that to be able to come to some kind of a resolve. It's not a resolve, but a movement of some sort that brings people together. I mean, I don't know. It's a shame that it was by violence, but the movement is there is a movement.
And you said even last week you were saying that there's going to be a transition period and a period of being in pain before we get to the good part, So
well, I think there's going to have to be. I mean, if there's going to have to be. I mean, something needs to be done here. I mean, obviously, the pain that we're living through now is horrible. I mean, there was another story of, I think it was in California, where the sheriff pulled up to evict a couple and found them they committed suicide. And I don't know about in your country, but here, I mean, suicides have gone through the ceiling over foreclosures for a good many years. And when it gets to that point, I mean, when people get so frustrated to the point where they're committing suicide, that's a point beyond desperation.
Yeah.
And that's a sign that, hey, okay, enough's enough. This is something's got to be done here. We've got to address this issue, and we got to come out of the closet, so to speak. Because I mean, if you think about it, we're kind of silent sufferers to some degree, because we're collaborating amongst ourselves and we're talking about this amongst ourselves. But we need to get it out there more public.
Exactly, and this is exactly what we're trying to do on a platform like this. But you know what? We've got a lot of people at the moment that are kind of saying on our chat room that it's impossible to follow the show, because from what I can see on my side as well, we're getting cut every 5 seconds. I can't understand why. Every once in a while we do have these gremlins in the system, and I don't know if it's just the internet connection here with me that is slowing us down, but I think people are really keen. They've even asked us, can't you cut the show until we can follow, so we don't want to be broadcasting little chunks like this. So what do you guys think? Should we take 5 minutes and try and sort this out and come back and give these people what they're expecting to hear?
It's up to you. However you want.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's sort out the technical issues.
Give me 1 second on my side. I don't know.
Show,
Somebody's already making a good suggestion here, Dave. Yes, I'm going to try exactly that. I'm going to try and change the buffer size. Okay, so let's see how that helps us at all. Just give us a second, guys. This is just Budget Radio after all. And that's us again. Please hold this time. All of you guys trying to listen out there, and I know there's some good information here. We all just need to be positive. We need to think the reality we want to come into being, and we want this connection to hold up. So if you have just been missing about what's going on, we've been having a lot of technical glitches here this evening, so please do forgive us for that. We are crossing the pond after all, and speaking to Ken Dost in Portland, Portland,
yes,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Not Pennsylvania.
No, not Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's nice, but it's not Oregon.
And you know what, guys? We just got disconnected again. So I think we should just continue and just make a recording. And if it does decide to hold at some point, we'll we can let it hold. But let's just continue the discussion as planned. There's no point in stressing over what we can't change. And while I've got everybody's attention, Alan, maybe just give us a light introduction about what you've been up to.
Well, maybe let's just.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Alan, are you with us?
Alan, that's fine. Then, okay, Alan can come in.
Alan,
what are you looking for?
What are we looking for? We're looking for you, man.
Yeah, I didn't listen to Ken. I didn't hear his show, your show last week, Ken. So I don't know what it was about. I've got a bit of an idea, but I sympathise with you and empathise with what you're going through with the banks. I get a lot of. I started the banking securitization group and the Remove the Reserve Bank group, and the Freeman group in honor of the late Johan Joubert, Nicholas Johannes Joubert, who knew quite a bit about this information, and we're trying to fill his shoes, and it's very difficult because they're very big shoes. But just as a kickoff, coming in kind of cold to this lot, is these people that these judges and Freemasons and people that think we don't know where they drink and we don't know where they work and we don't know where they live need to wake up, because you've seen the pictures of the townsfolk with the pitchforks and the lanterns. That's what it's going to get to. These people want to keep on ignoring good, honest, hard-working, tax-paying citizens, of which I'm not. But if these people are going to be ignored all the time, there's going to come a time when we are going to go to their houses and hand them a little letter saying, we know where you are, and hello, there's a commercial lien coming your way, and we're going to make your wife's credit cards fail. And there's a way to do it. We just haven't quite got it yet. We're waiting for some feedback from another guy, Trevor, who's perfected a commercial lien against a Standard Bank senior official. It's perfected, so the lien is perfected. We just need to know how to record it. And I say, record it on Facebook, put it into a legal newspaper, put it into a magazine, stick it on a lamppost, take a picture of it. It's recorded as far as common law. As far as I'm concerned, it's recorded. What we're trying to do is we're trying to find a way to, what they do to us, we're going to do to them. We're going to visit them on a Sunday night with locksmiths and peace officers and court orders and sheriffs and attach the furniture at their houses. Or we're going to walk into a bank and attach all the computers. This is where I see us going to. If these people do not want to listen to us and want to bully us, I'm armed. I'm always armed. And I have had 3 serious attacks on my life. Very, very serious, where I had to kill a guy in the last instance, when 3 guys armed put a gun to my head and attacked me, and I put 18 types of holes into this guy's body, and he was dead before he hit the ground. I don't give a toss. I'm not bothered about pulling triggers, and I'm not a trigger-happy, violent guy. But if you come at me and you come to my house, or you stop me in a roadblock and try to get funny with me under a streetlight somewhere, you better make sure that you're packing, because I am not going to let you push me around. And I won't do this with my family in the car. But if you get me on a bad day, beware. And we need to let these people know, like your summary judgment judge who was painting his nails, turning the microphone off. We need to let him know that we know that he has to have a bond, and he has to be admitted into the court without any hearsay. So we want to put him on his oath before you stand up if you go to court, and you want to ask for his bond. Yes. And if he doesn't give it, he's an imposter, and he must get out the court.
Yes.
So when you walk into a courtroom in Admiralty, you're walking onto a ship in dry dock. And people need to understand, we can throw the judge overboard, but we don't want to. The judge can be our best friend. And I'm a novice at this, guys. I really am a novice. And we've done the court thing where I got escorted out with security some time ago against first round of summary judgment for a friend of mine. We did it for a goof because it was actually the end of the road anyway. So what we did is when the judge walked in, we didn't stand up. And I said to this judge, "Are you a real judge? You know, can you show me your oath of office? And you're a public servant, aren't you?" And she told me to approach. And I said to her, well, if you're going to give me an offer to pay or perform in this courtroom, I'm going to invoice you. And my bill starts at £4,600 per hour. And then they called security and threw me out.
That's exactly what we want to talk about, that kind of thing this evening. It's like those
we did it a bit wrong, and it was late in the day, but we need to fill courtrooms.
Yes.
We need people coming in. I spoke with Stephen Goodson from the Reserve Bank. I think he's online now. He might be listening. I don't know. But he said to me at one of the last times I spoke to him on a Skype call, he said to me, I think it's such a simple thing. Fill the courtrooms. Get as many people as you can in there.
Yes,
and
I
put
agree.
these judges. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents for now anyway.
Well, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, we do need to fill these courtrooms with people, and we do need to draw attention to the courts and point the finger at the courts, because that's where we're not getting. I mean, the banks being crooked is one thing, but getting justice for the banks' frauds is another thing. And where we're losing is in the courtrooms, and that's where we've got to focus attention is to start bringing attention to these courtrooms. Now, the good thing about our hearing was that we did have a local newspaper reporter there, which is fantastic. So whether she writes the story or not is another thing. Now, it's been painted to her that this is a huge story because of not just because of the court case, but itself, but there's the criminality of the court, and then there's the underlying lawsuit. And the underlying lawsuit, the underlying affirmative defense is that these mortgage loans are not mortgage loans, that they're license agreements and derivatives. And that's the underlying aspect of this case. So it's a good thing that a reporter was in there, because I think it's going to come into play at some point here in the future. But yes, I fully agree with Alan. Yeah, we got to fill the courtrooms. We got to start filling the gallery with people and start pointing out these courts and hold them to account.
I wonder if I can just come in from a different angle here, perhaps. Is it not because in the legal world, living, breathing human beings are regarded as dead, and their straw men are actually the living entities. So judges don't see themselves as dealing with human beings, but with straw men, corporations, corporate entities. So they don't really care. Is that perhaps not one of the reasons why we treat it like nothing really in courts?
Well, see, that's kind
of. I'll have a stab at that if that's. Yeah. Okay. After you, Ken.
No. Go ahead, Alan. Go ahead.
All right. I was following something that Dean Clifford was saying on one of his talks some time ago, and I made notes of it. And he said something that was really fantastic. Let's say we're a football team or a rugby team, and we go and play a friendly match against another team, and it's a friendly. So before the game, you walk into the opposition's change room with your centre forward, and he's 7 foot tall, and he's built like a brick shithouse. And your opposition looks at him and says to you, well, let's have a great game. We'll have a couple of drinks after the game. And you tell him the big guy's name's Mike. He doesn't care what his name is. He cares what position he's playing. And the role of the man in the court, the role of the trustee or the judge, and the role of your opposition, those three make up trust law. And I would encourage you to look at Dean Clifford's talk on trust law or trusts, because, I mean, another guy's just got out of jail, and he's in and out of jail like a yo-yo. But you know what? It doesn't mean he's wrong.
Are you familiar with...
Another thing...
Keep going.
What he said was, on his last... he's just come out of jail now, and what he said on his video was, yes, the free men and the people that are fighting under common law and going to jail and getting tear gassed and getting pepper sprayed and getting abused and tasered and getting petrified and terrorized by these corporate legalized bullies, scum, right? These people that are doing this to us, yes, the free men and the people that are doing this are going to jail and get bad things getting done to them. But that's like the rape victim saying, it's my fault.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Are you familiar with Dean Clifford's work at all, Ken?
No, I'm not, but I'm familiar with I'm getting more familiar with the common law and the real person aspects of this, and I can't speak intelligently about it yet because I'm still learning about it.
Yeah, but that's also why that's exactly why we also want to have these discussions, because you've got a very strong stance on securitization and banking and all. And I know that a lot of the guys here in South Africa have kind of been down these paths and have been doing those things. But most everybody tries to come back and focus back to the common law, you know. And
well, in my opinion, from my research of the patents and intellectual properties, I think the argument really comes as retooling the argument, and again abandoning the foreclosure defense and stop fighting agreements that don't exist. And that's what we're doing. When we defend a foreclosure, what we're defending is we're assuming that there's a valid agreement in place. And as long as that valid agreement is in place or is believed to be valid, then there's no way we're ever going to win. So I look at it from a point of view of attacking this from the contract point of view and using the evidence that is out there and drawing attention to the evidence. And that evidence is the simple fact that of the patents and these patented processes. Now, when you talk about trusts, you talk about trust law, there's about 10, 15 patents popped up in my head that manipulate the trust system and manipulate the information and manipulate the data and information that goes into it. So, in my opinion, if we bring focus and attention to the patents and get people to realize that what you're signing is you're not signing a mortgage loan to real property agreement, but what you're signing is you're signing away your signature. You're creating a copyright derivative so that they can take this document and electronically scan it in and sell that derivative like it's a book. So in my estimation, the best way to go at this is to go at this with the material facts and start laying these material facts out there, start laying these patents down, start getting people to understand that what we signed was not a mortgage loan, but we were lured into giving away our signature so that they can use it for derivative instruments. And that's where all these trillions of dollars of assets, these trillions and trillions of dollars of assets and these funds and everything, what these monies are, it's not real money, of course, but it's valued assets. And I think what we need to start doing is we need to start going into court on the basis that this is not a mortgage loan agreement, and we go under commercial law and contractual law, and we start basically demanding that those trillions of dollars of assets be returned to the rightful owners, which is you and me, and we the people.
Yeah, on that topic, or point rather, Ken, I think what we really need to focus now on is solutions. And maybe we can change track here and move down that road. I don't know if you guys still want to talk a bit more about your experiences, perhaps Ken and Alan, if you want to share any more information with us. First of all, welcome, Alan. You just jumped into the discussion, but welcome and thanks for being on the show this evening with us. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, brother. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You're most welcome. Thanks for having me. I just want 2 seconds. I want to come back to Ken about this because Michael Tellinger, I've got his court case audios, and he's been down this road, Ken. They laugh at you. The securitization argument is a joke. We have to prove there was no loan in the first place.
Well, we can
and
do
the other thing
we
is,
can do that though. We can do that though by bringing the patents out. This is what people don't realize. People don't realize that they patented the entire system. Everything that they've done is, in their own words, is recorded with your patent division down there and our patent division up here. So everything that they've done, the loan underwriting processes, the conversion of information, the conversion of documents, the credit analysis, the insurance end of this, how they rig the system, it's all before us. All we have to do is look to it and start looking at these patents. That's where the evidence is at.
But the problem is nobody's listening to this evidence like it's real. That's all we're saying.
Well,
nobody's paying attention to the actual...
Has anybody brought it out though? Has anybody gone into court with these patents and as part of their cause of action?
Okay,
I don't think anybody has yet.
Look, I mean that's definitely.
But to my mind, I think these patents are probably invalid anyway because they involve us and we never gave them consent. We didn't consent to being part of these patents.
That's the point. Yes. That's the point. What the big hidden veil here is
here's the thing.
2 words. It's trade secret. So what they've done to us is they use trade secrets to seize the global economy away from us. And when you go into court and you're arguing on whether an agreement is valid or not, you start laying down the patents and the copyright and these concealed agreements that show that what we signed were licensing agreements. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's taken this into court yet. And this is what I've taken into court in my case, and this is, of course, where I've been obfuscated by it, and look what's happened to me. But at the same time, though, that's just one case. I mean, you get a bunch of people in your country, we get a bunch of people in our country, we start filing mass joinders that these contracts are invalid, then, damn it, they're going to start listening.
Yeah, we got it. Well, we got to
Ken,
start working on solutions. Yes. Come in, Alan. Yes.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you, Ken. I don't know what you've got up your sleeve. It sounds like you've got some information that I'm not aware of, and I've not been down this legal route. So I will reserve my initial outburst is to say they're not listening. You're fighting against Thunder. You're in their arena. But having said that, I think you might be onto something. I don't know. I don't know you at all. You're obviously very determined, and you've got tenacity. So that's fantastic.
Well, what he is saying is that the patents are now they're gonna hold up, and the fact that these guys have all these patents with regard to banking processes and stuff, and that stands up as evidence. But I get exactly what you're saying, Alan, is that from what I can tell here, and you know what, I've never even necessarily I've been to court once or twice, but not majorly. But everybody here has kind of tried these things, you know. They've tried to, I mean, you check out Dean Clifford's work, and if you want to talk about something being valid or supposed to have been valid in court, you know, what he's got should be more than legit, but it's not being recognized. You know what I'm saying? And the more that you, like you're saying, you're fighting against Thunder, the more that we expose ourselves and try and take them on at their own game like this, we just have no joy.
Can I read something? Can I read something?
What needs to happen?
Let me read something.
Go ahead, Ken. Yes.
Let me read something for you for a minute. This is a trademark. Now you got to what we got to understand is what we purchased were intentionally concealed trademarks. And what I want to read you is a product. It was written by an attorney, Stephen Foster, a trademark attorney here in the United States, and it was in reference to a particular trademark product, which was the Right loan. Now, the Right loan was actually the loan that our mortgage loan was underwritten under, which was an electronic process, which was a patented process. But here's what he says about this. He says it's well settled that the relevant test is likelihood of confusion, not actual confusion. It is unnecessary to show actual confusion to establish likelihood of confusion. Applicant argues that the purchasers of its services are sophisticated, making confusion less likely. However, the recited services of the respective parties are not limited to professionals with extensive experience in the trade, but are stated broadly and would include services offered to ordinary purchasers who may obtain mortgages only a small number of times in their lifetimes. It may be presumptuous to believe that these purchasers are sophisticated or experienced in these matters, and indeed they may not be. Even assuming arguendo that they are sophisticated or knowledgeable in applicants' field, this does not necessarily mean they are sophisticated or knowledgeable in the field of trademarks or immune from source confusion. That's proof that what they sold us was products that we do not have an understanding of, because we're not a sophisticated party. We're an ordinary consumer that's purchasing a loan product that's being pitched to us.
Yeah, well, that makes me think. We don't so how could we actually be part of a contract which we don't understand?
Exactly, I mean, exactly. So what I'm saying, Alan, and I understand that you're not familiar with what I'm talking about offhand, but what I'm saying is that what we signed, we can prove by contractual law, but that there's no mutual assent, there's no consideration, and it's been intentionally concealed from us. Now, how do we prove that? We prove that by what I just read and the products that we purchased, and we also start digging up these intentionally concealed agreements that lay beyond on the other side of this mortgage loan agreement. So these are arguments that have not been brought into court. In my mind, they haven't. At least over here they have, and I don't know about over there, but I don't know anybody that's brought forth the fact that what they were selling us was concealed trademark products. I
think maybe the issue of informed, making an informed decision, maybe is pertinent here. Because anybody who signs an agreement where he doesn't have all the information at his disposal has not made an informed decision.
Right.
To sign that contract.
Well, it's exactly. I mean, we're supposed to be, as reasonable citizens, we have to conduct due diligence on the products and the contracts that we enter into. Well, excuse me, but if I'm if somebody's selling me a mortgage loan that I believe is a real property, but what they're really trying to do is lure me to get my signature so they can create derivative instruments from this, then, Your Honor, I mean, there's no mutual assent there. I cannot have knowledge of something, and I cannot conduct competent due diligence if I can't find out what the knowledge, if I don't have the knowledge of what's being actually sold to me, and the knowledge of that is being intentionally concealed from me, there's no mutual assent.
Yes. Yeah, I think, absolutely. But Dean Clifford, he was just released from prison the other day, and I think he was on AIS, Adventures in Sovereignty, not too long ago, and he said he's done with the system. He says you can't fight the system. He says stuff the system, and the best thing to do is to really start something new outside of the system.
That's what I get from a lot of people
maybe you
these
should,
days.
yeah.
That's what
You can't fight the system. It's too corrupt, actually.
A lot of people that have been doing this a while are kind of in that space, and that's also. I mean, maybe you're probably trying to segue into this at the moment, Faiz, but that's what we want to discuss tonight: is what are the actual solutions? You know, like what do you think is the way forward? You know, I'd love to have Alan weigh in on it, because you see I mean, as much as you guys agreed on a court system and everybody appearing in court, I think you're talking about going to court for the wrong reasons. And I also I'm in two minds as to whether I believe we should even be trying to play their game. You know, I believe that if we educate enough people, and we declare ourselves a people, and then we can start moving forward. And I mean, I suppose it's a micro community of some sort, a micro nation of sorts, you know. And that is maybe the way forward. We must get together and basically have enough numbers to declare ourselves a force to be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? You guys say 3%, and I mean, all I'm trying to do is my bit to try and attain these numbers, because from what we even discussed last week, like, people aren't really interested for the most part. Middle class people aren't interested in hearing this stuff. They don't want to. They don't. They see that there's a point to it, but they can't get into their heads that, you know, it's not their local government or the country's government that's to blame. They don't believe that they don't see that there's actually a bigger agenda at play here, and they don't want to see it. So
they don't see that agenda at play. They just don't have knowledge of it. They just maybe just.
And that's why I say that Baltimore stuff that happened last week or this week, I'm not sure when it happened. Basically, it's troubling. You know what I'm saying? Because people are that's the way that people are going to actually react when for instance this financial collapse happens. They perfectly kind of attuned to how the man wants them to react, or the establishment wants them to react. So.
Well, you got a good point there. I mean, a couple of people on my page have mentioned the fact that we should have when TARP came out when the economy collapsed, and our government paid out trillions of dollars to these criminals.
From where?
Our people just laid down and died, basically, and didn't fight back on this stuff.
But from where did your government get that money from, though? And that's the big question. I mean, besides all the patents and all these other things, these semantics, I call it. We always caught up in the semantics of all their affairs. That's a very simple one. Where's the money come from? You know, how can somebody explain to me that somebody that believes in the system, that believes when they go to the bank, they're getting some money out of the bank that the bank has? Okay, I want them to explain to me, where does the extra bucks come from all the time? Why do you think the value of things go down? I mean, the value of your money goes down, and not the value of things. Because there's more and more of us buying things out here, but somehow the value goes down. Your money buys less and less every year. So the only way you can explain that is that there is no money.
No, there really is no money.
No, it's engineered that way. It's the money supply is increased. They engineer inflation and deflation and depressions and.
So these are things we should be highlighting to people.
And expansion. These are all engineered economic events, basically.
Well, and see that, and that's what I'm saying. That's if we want to learn about these things, we want to learn what these engineered processes are. They're out there. And I mean, everything you're talking about engineering, engineering inflation, for instance, engineering bankruptcy, for God's sakes, is a patented process. These are processes. So when you're fighting the courts, you know, and we're trying to and chasing after assignments here and there and everywhere, the roadmap to doing that is before us. All we've got to do is look at it and understand that. And I understand Julian's point that this stuff makes people's minds gloss over and eyes gloss over. But it still comes down to the simple fact of we don't have the truth about what's going on. We don't understand the truth. We don't want to know the truth, perhaps. But it's there for us to look at.
Yeah, it's actually all very negative, actually, if you look at it. And in fact, maybe I should just say something about negativity at this point, because someone mentioned to me a few days ago, that we focus too much on the negative aspects of what is going on in the world. And I said, no, I don't actually agree with this, because I said to them, it's actually vital for us to deeply and clearly understand the problems, facing the world before we can actually develop, any real and lasting solutions. And I said, it's, of course, focusing on the negative doesn't mean we must ignore or forget about positive things, the good things that are happening in the world. Not at all, of course. On the contrary, I said we must acknowledge, we must enjoy and, be grateful for the good and strive to create more of it. But the reality is that we actually have focused on the positive, and we will obviously continue to do so and strive to create more positivity by contributing to solving, the problems that we currently face. And so tonight, I mentioned earlier on that we'd like to discuss solutions, and we can move on to that now. But I think maybe I must give you an example of what I mean when I say we focus on the positive too. About 2 weeks ago, we had Bridget White on the show, and she has cancer. And she has opted for the alternate or the more advanced forms of treatment I call it the more advanced forms of treatment, for a condition, rather than opting for the more or the common harmful and often fatal conventional cancer therapies. And Bridget is in fact doing very well, as a result of choosing this, what we call the road less traveled, and thankfully so. So this was a very positive story that we had. And I just mentioned Dr. Ventergaard also, who's giving a talk on becoming happy. So we don't just focus on the negative here on ZA Talk Radio. We focus on the positive too. And this evening we're going to be focusing on solutions, which is, of course, a positive thing to do.
I would like
maybe we can...
to kick off on solutions. I would like everybody, Alan and Ken, I'd like you both to weigh in on something that I actually believe in, Bitcoin. What do you guys think about this?
Okay, but hang on. Before you do,
yeah,
Julian, hang on a sec. Let me put my
give us your
devil's advocate.
Yeah, I love it. Play
for Ken, because first of all, Ken, when you read out that paragraph on trusts and patents, I didn't understand it, and it was a legalese nightmare. Must, may, might. Words like this in a law dictionary they'll kick certain arguments into touch. And you have to remember, if you go into a courtroom with your lawyer and fighting against them with their lawyers and the judge, they've all sworn an oath to the bar, and they use hand signals. They use gestures to communicate nonverbals, and they are very good at it. The robes they wear are mourning the death of justice. And this, if you're going to go into that arena, you better have lots of money and you better take care of your health. Because my father died of cancer. He took on Arms Corps. Now, Arms Corps in this country is massive. They're a big weapons company, and he beat them in the Supreme Court in Johannesburg on his own. I think 11 out of 12 charges he won, and it cost his health. So these guys, these judges, these Masons, these Jesuits, these people that are walking around hissing Latin in courtrooms, they are not playing games, and they've got the guns, they've got the statutes, they've got the country club, they've got their kids at private schools, they've got the wives going to get the nails done every 5 minutes. They're the ones that are not going to budge. And if you're going to go in, Ken, I wish I could be with you, man. I just think, look after your health and make sure you get solid information. Don't use an attorney. Do it yourself.
Oh, I am doing it myself. I won't get. First of all, it's impossible to find a defense attorney for consumers over here. There's very few of them that are out there, and the ones that are out there are arguing that there's a valid agreement, which I don't agree with. And I can show that's not. So I've been doing this myself, pro se, and kind of been taking the thumps as I've been going along and learning as I go along. And I think that's powerful. I think in the long run, that's powerful if by defending yourself. It's not. Yeah, no, it's not an easy task. And yes, I agree. These judges are on the hook, and I agree that it's an uphill battle. Absolutely, it is. But I would rather make my own argument than have another attorney argue for me that doesn't understand the basis for my argument, which goes to fraud. In reference to the paragraph that you referenced that I read, what that basically says, what that's describing is that it's describing that the products that we purchased were that simple mortgage loan that's a negotiable instrument that you sign off on the document and you believe that you're getting a mortgage loan for the purchase of real property. What that's saying is that this is saying that this is a particular product with the underwriting and all the automated systems behind it is a sophisticated product that's a commodities trading transaction. And what he's saying there is that consumers, you and me, are not sophisticated enough to understand these systems. We don't understand the source confusion with trademarks and what these products actually mean. Now, over in our country, I'm sure over in your country, a trademark is basically for consumers to recognize the source of their products. And when the source of your products are being concealed from you, and especially when this paragraph here is saying that they're too sophisticated for us, well, there's a problem there. I mean, that's a problem. That's something we can take into court.
Okay, now I'm starting to see. I'm understanding now what you're doing. I get you.
Because what they're doing here is they've concealed the intellectual properties. What they've done here is they turned our signature into a derivative. So when you sign on a mortgage loan agreement, what you're creating a derivative of that, and that's the derivative is the most basic form of a securities, because you've got the CDOs, your CBOs, all these credit default swaps and everything. You've got those are derivatives, but the basic form of that derivative, the very basis of that derivative that's making up that derivative comes back to our signatures. And that's the point of where that's where my work comes in. My work comes in in saying that, no, this is not a negotiable instrument. What this is a security, and you've stripped away my rights as ownership and you've turned me into a commodity. So that's where my work lays.
Okay, I'm with you. And of course, there's this elusive proof of the birth certificate being monetized. This is what backs the signature, is the monetized birth certificate. This is what we're finding out. It's very difficult to prove this. But if you walk into a courtroom with a birth certificate in your hand, you can either have the vault copy or the copy. You're not going to get the original birth certificate is purported to be written on bond paper. But if you've got a copy and you walk into a courtroom and hold it up and say, does anybody own this in this courtroom? Has anybody got claim to this? Mm-hmm. Well, that means that you own it. You own the trust, you own the money, you own the contract, you own everything. You're the beneficiary, the executor, the grantor, the whole tutti. But to try and prove this and to talk in this lingo to anybody can come across as being insane. And they will use this. So I would advise, if someone's going to use this kind of lingo in court, go to a psychiatrist, go to a doctor, get a clean bill of health, and make sure that it's signed by a psychiatrist or a doctor. I'm dead serious. And when you walk into the court, show them, because the judge is going to say you're insane. How can you diagnose medically from the bench and you can just hold the signature up and say, no, I'm not insane. This psychiatrist says I'm sane. Cover your eyes.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that you go into court with that, yes, you're going to get tossed out on your backside more than likely. That's why it's for a solution. When you're talking about solutions, the solutions is to fight, as I see it, is to fight them on the terms of the contract, of the agreement, and what they're doing with our signatures. To kind of segue into what you're talking about further down the line, but the most very basic argument is a contractual law basis and a commercial basis, and you use the evidence that's out there, because what you described, even with the birth certificates, that's a patent, believe it or not. And so if you can identify what that patent is, and you know the process that they're manipulating that information and the way they're using that information, that empowers us. Because now we have knowledge. And once we have knowledge of what they're doing and how they're changing this information, how they're characterizing it, that empowers us. That empowers us when we go into court with that, because now we know what they're doing. And now we can start, instead of chasing our tails all the time, we can chase, okay, here's what JP Morgan Chase is doing. Here's what they're doing with this information, and how they're changing this information, and how they're using it against us. So to me, it comes down to the basis of having actual knowledge, a foundation of material fact, which is what severely is lacking right now.
Okay,
But
very
Ken,
interesting. Very interesting.
When
Yeah,
the judge
no,
says he
that's
doesn't
cool.
want to
Thanks.
hear any, when the judge says he doesn't want to hear anything about these derivatives, I mean, what are the chances of wanting to hear anything about anything else, Ken?
Well,
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Well, I agree with you. One person's not going to do it. I mean, it's not going to happen that way. The way that I see it, the only way that I see this is happening is we first bring public attention to it, and we educate people on what they actually signed, and we get people to understand that what you signed was not a mortgage loan and real property agreement. You were not given ownership of a property. Contrary to that, your property was stolen away from you through your signature, through intellectual properties. So it's a difference between, it's a parallel world, basically. So if we can get people to first understand that these public education, to understand that these are not legal agreements, number one. Number two, we formulate and we form groups up in your country, our country, all countries, and we start filing mass joinders. We start teaming up and collaborating together and filing en masse. And the one thing I would love to see happen over here in the States is to be able to have 5 different areas of the country where, in all these 5 different areas of the country, each represent, whether it's an attorney or not, is creating a mass joinder. So instead of going into court with 1 lawsuit, you're going into court with 1,000 lawsuits. And if you do it 5 times over the course of over various parts of the country, then you're going with 5,000 cases against them. So no, I agree. 1 case is not going to do it. Obviously, it's going to have to be something that's done in mass.
Yeah,
But
and we've got some people doing exactly that out here. Is trying to take these court cases in mass. I mean, they might be foreclosure defense cases, but they are trying to acquire the mass of people to make somebody listen to us. You know? But if you're going in under foreclosure defense, you're going in under the wrong perception. You can't win on that. We cannot win on foreclosure defense. We know that because as long as this agreement is held to be valid, there's not a chance that we can win. The only way. But I mean, how can they truly hold the agreement to be valid if they never produced the agreement in the first place? They are yet to produce the agreement for anybody here in South Africa. You know, we've been to court. We've been asking for it. Like Jan was saying last week, they've been talking about a fire that's happened here at some building within the bank. There's a difference about asking for it, and there's that one aspect of it. There's a difference between that and being able to go into court and laying down and charting out exactly what they've done with that note, and exactly how they've recharacterized that, exactly how they've converted it into stocks, bonds, various forms of derivatives. So if you have the knowledge of what they did, that's a lot. That's a lot to go into court with. Yeah. So
it should be, Ken. It should be.
That's the thing. It should be. But I mean, I'm just being real here, and nobody's having success anywhere with the courts. It's you playing. That's like trying to go and play a rigged game. You know what I'm saying? The game is rigged. They all have an allegiance to the bar. They've all got an allegiance to the system. You know, none of them are suffering, and none of them seem to have a heart. So, but
you're being a pessimist. You're being a pessimist. We're supposed to be positive here.
No. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm not trying to be a pessimist.
I realized a while ago, you know, what we're dealing with is fascism, you know, tyranny. These guys don't really care. And I know I'm being pessimistic here, Ken. And
how do we deal with that, though, Faiz? How do we deal with that? Here's what I'm trying to...
Yeah, Ken mentioned a key word. No, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that right now. Ken mentioned a very, very key word, and I was going to bring that up as my first point when it comes to solutions. And the word that he used was education. Now, I mean, that is non-negotiable. And my philosophy has become that as a doctor, because having been trained as a disease manager, where the fundamental tool you use every day is prescribing medication. So you medicate your patients, and that has worsened the global healthcare crisis. I mean, we're sitting with a massive crisis in healthcare across the world, and the actual system of healthcare is making it worse every day. And prescribing medication is one of the reasons why it's getting worse.
So one of the things that
medication.
So one of the things.
So what I'm saying is, in healthcare, it's now not medicate but educate, and so the same for all other systems of society and sectors of society, whether it be the legal system, the financial system, political system. We need to educate society en masse. So you're quite right there, Ken. That's the key word is education. Yeah.
And if you think about it, you think about there's a lot of people out there, what I call sheeples, that don't really care or just are so clouded over with bullshit that they can't see the sun through the clouds, through the haze. And what we're dealing with here is it's really not that complex. What we're dealing with here is a layer of deception. Okay, and that's what it's a layer of deception, and if we can break through that layer of deception and reach the people to where they will get angry and will stand up. And it's not that when you talk about mortgages, I talk about us as being silent sufferers because we're collaborating amongst ourselves, and but we've got to break out into the public on this. And the way to break out in the public on this is in terms of these derivatives and in terms of the patents, is that this is not a mortgage loan that we're talking about here. This is the issue of everything. So this is the issue of your credit, of your car, of your livelihood, of your job, of your future, of your education, of everything. And when people can understand that, then I think that then people start waking up to this. So it's a matter of it's a matter of educating people. I think if we get, because we got to fight within the system. I mean, we can't go. I don't believe we can go off and form our own sovereign nation. I mean, try doing that here in the United States, and we had a civil war, for God's sakes. So I mean, in my mind, you've got to work in the system. You got to change the system within the system, and call the system against itself. Yeah. And to me, the positive approach to that is just to educate people en masse on this. These are the things that I've uncovered, and I've spent 7 years doing this. And the things that I've uncovered are extraordinarily disgusting. I mean, it makes me sick, and it sickens me that the evil that's behind this. So there's this layer of deception that it allows us to believe that we live in this paradigm world where we have ownership and we can buy real property. Well, that's not true. It's bull. Yeah, it's not true at all. Yeah.
But only a few of us really understand that, and I want to come in here now on this point.
But you don't have to understand.
No, but that's the thing. That's the point.
Go ahead,
in order to educate these people, we need them to understand this. For the basic understanding is that it's all a crock of shit, really. And yes. when for instance, I've got an uncle who's quite a powerful banker, if you want to call him that. You know what I'm saying? Well, he sits on the boards of these banks and so forth. And I asked him, and I explain this to him all the time, and I have these talks with him all the time, and he's like, if you know what, quite simply, if there is no money, because this is my argument all the time, there is no money to begin with. You know what I'm saying? And what you're saying basically, Ken, is that we are the money, we are the collateral, we are, and I understand that. I understand exactly how that works. And they say that there's a trust that they're basically operating through, and in theory, the system is supposed to work for us, but instead it works against us. So
it's been financially engineered to work.
And when I talk to him about this system, then he says, "But then why do you go to the bank for the money? You don't need to. If you don't like their system, don't play by their system, and let's see how far you get." And that brings me to my next point. Yes, the system. Yes, the system is completely backward. So why are we still playing within it? Let's not play within it. I'd like for you guys to now tell me a little bit about what you think about Bitcoin. I mean, should we not be pushing toward this and get away from using their fiat currency that they regulate? You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's anything wrong with the creation of currency, but it's the fact that they've got all the chips at the moment. They've patented it. You know what I'm saying? They have got all the chips. They do this thing. We don't. We can't play this game. We can't create bills of exchange.
Well, first of all, there's not money out there. I mean, the trillions of dollars of assets out there are derived. It's derived. It's value derived. So the trillions of dollars that is out there is nothing. It's really worthless. The only value it has is the value that they've put on it by marketing and by putting a ratings agency on it. So in that respect, there is no money out there. The only money that's out there and the only real value that's out there is is our real property. Is our property. Exactly, it's us. So really what it is, it's the theft of our real personal and intellectual property that they have out there. So and the only hard currency out there, the only money that can be derived really or taken out of this system is money that's taken out of the system when they take our properties away from us, because that's the only real collateral that's out there.
Okay, so now tell me what you think of a system like Bitcoin. Should we not be advocating Bitcoin? Should we not be pushing for something like this and to get out of their system completely?
I don't know the answer to that. Alan, what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Bitcoin apart from what I've seen on Alex Jones. And
what has Alex Jones got to say about it?
He was talking to a guy, what's the guy's name? Max Kaiser. He was talking to Max Kaiser about a year ago, 18 months ago, and saying that Max Kaiser actually created Bitcoin, and they were having a bit of a joke about it. I think the idea of having gold coins, more specifically, I think it would be better to have silver coins because they're much more accessible and user-friendly. But I think going back to gold, now if you look at Roger Hayes, ex-banker in the UK, he's a free man in the UK, and you look at his Magna Carta 2015 talk, the second half of that presentation shows you how to bring in a sovereign coin with incentives of discounts for haircuts and buying sunglasses and slowly, gradually fading this lot in. It sounds like a lot of weird stuff, but I think it's a good idea because what we can either do, we can either completely eradicate and destroy the Reserve Bank, which is one way. We can just sidestep it and let the people that want to have fiat currency, let them carry on with it. And we come in with a coin that's maybe, or a currency that's hour-based, maybe Johannesburg hours.
That's exactly what Bitcoin represents, and it gets around.
Okay.
It actually gets around all the the logistics that we would incur. Because imagine we had our Johannesburg coin, and Ken were to have his Portland coin, and then how are we gonna trade between us? Or how are we gonna value our coins against each other? Because that's basically what economics is supposed to represent, but it doesn't. It's along the way it's been like twisted up so bad that we don't recognize it for what it is. It's like, I just watched a fantastic movie by Russell Brand. Russell Brand is he's speaking out against these bankers. He's been walking into the banks in the UK and asking them about these bonuses they've been paid out based on and the whole
based on poor performance.
Based on poor performance, basically, yeah, exactly. And the whole premise of his talk is
their cut of the annuities.
the title of his little show was "The Emperor with the Magic Clothes." You know that old story where they weave these imaginary kind of threads for this for the emperor, and they don't actually exist until a little boy points out the fact that he's actually naked. But that's exactly the game they're playing with us, man. It's like money. It's like they've got us all running around being like, yes, but that's money. Yes, but that's money. And then for the most part...
That's the mind control, Julian. We keep talking about mind control on this.
And it's going to take a 5-year-old little boy.
People are deluded. They've been made to believe that which is not true.
Exactly.
So those are false beliefs, also known as delusions. So there's mass delusion across the world. That's the tragedy.
But really. You know what? Even more sad about it is that a lot of people actually see it. They see it. They're like, yes, okay, well, there's no money, and these people kind of conjure it up and they do as they please. But how's that really my problem? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm kind of cool.
Alan hit the nail on the head. Alan's hit the nail on the money. Real money is really
gold and silver. But does it necessarily have to be? I mean, Bitcoin is actually, it's a fascinating idea. It's an open ledger. The fact is, there is no central system to it. It's not centralized at all. It's a fair money system. There's a finite amount of it, the same as gold and silver. And we can't even really say that for sure just yet, because what have we proven to ourselves over history? How much do we actually know? Everything that man has assumed to know has been disproven. I mean, we could have lived in a flat world time, man. Guys, sorry, I said men.
Yeah, no, I have a solution to the problems we face. I'm not going to share it.
Why?
Right now? Well, it's already existing.
What is this?
Well, I just mention it. I'll mention it's a community exchange system, but not by itself, because that's not really money. You're not dealing with money with your complementary or your community exchange system. I don't know if you guys are aware of the community exchange system. It's
not aware of it, no.
It's a brilliant system. It's a really good system. We started it maybe, 14, 13 years ago. But it didn't really take off because, again, people's mindset, the paradigm that they operate in, they find it very difficult to get out of that. But also people can't really buy what they need using the community exchange system. They can't go to a grocery store or butcher or get a haircut, because these vendors don't accept the currency of the community exchange
problem.
system.
It's getting the currency accepted, and
that's correct. Yes. But if you combine that, sorry, Ken, almost done. If you combine that with gold and silver in a way that I've thought about, that could change the game completely. Because if you're carrying a bag of gold coins, I mean, how do I buy Ken's car on the other side of the world with my gold coins on this side? Obviously there should be a way.
Yeah, but the question is where's the gold?
Exactly what I was going to say next.
It's not in Fort Knox.
Not even actually. Apparently it's not even there. Haven't you heard the Bundesbank asked for their gold back, and Fort Knox hasn't agreed to take it back. They said it'll take them about 70 years to fly that gold all the way back, and I can't remember, or 7 years, say 7 years to fly it back to them, and it was something like 70 tons apparently. And for the most part, that's another conspiracy right there. Where is the gold? If you want to go back to gold and silver, we're basically allowing these people to hold all the chips once again. You know what I'm saying? Even if it does move back to a fair currency like gold and silver, and what actually gives gold its value? Seriously, if it was a piece of something I could leave on a cupboard and not refrigerate it and eat it in 8 weeks if I was hungry and I needed to survive, then I would really understand it. You know what I'm saying? But at the moment, it's just something that's scarce. So Bitcoin is using something that's scarce that they don't already have a monopoly on. And
exactly.
Yeah, and we use it for ourselves. I mean, I thought you guys would know more about the Bitcoin. I thought I'd bring it up and we'd have a conversation for days about it.
I did a lot of research on Bitcoin, but I'd rather just reserve comment on it.
Why? Come on.
I initially was a very strong proponent of Bitcoin, but
what made you turn away from it? I'd love to know.
It has its flaws. I mean, if you look at what's happened to it, it has its flaws.
Because people are stealing Bitcoins. They're hacking Bitcoins from people that hold Bitcoin. From companies that actually hold Bitcoin. That's what's demonizing it for the most part, as far as I can understand.
Well, those are the exchanges. Yeah, one of the exchanges was basically robbed of all its Bitcoin. I forget the name of it now.
Yeah. But that's
I think
again
Bitcoin itself also has inherent flaws in it. It has inherent flaws, but I know a lot of people love Bitcoin, so I'm not gonna knock it.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Bitcoin, so I can't really comment on it. But you talk gold. Every time we're talking, almost every other sentence you're talking about, I get a patent in my mind. You talk about gold, and you're familiar with the bank HSBC, right? Over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They have this blows my mind when I saw this. They have a patent how to turn electronic currency into gold bullion. So what they're doing is they're buying up all the gold using all these trillions of dollars worth of worthless assets, valued assets, and they're picking up and buying all the gold. So I mean, the question is, where's the gold going? Who's buying the gold? How they getting access to the gold, and what are they actually exchanging for the gold?
Exactly.
So really, what you've got here is, again, you come back to the system, come back to the basis of knowledge and education, and to me, the patents are just so wonderful because it tells us what they've done. And so, if we want to plot out that course of solutions, then we've got to learn what they're doing first, and then we can figure out what the solutions is, because we got to catch the thieves first. So we can catch the thieves with their hand in the till just by researching in the patents and looking into the SEC. Well, over here would be the SEC, the filings for their businesses and their agreements, and then we start calling the carpet on that.
Yeah. In fact, Max Kaiser's group came. Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
So in South Africa, we've already caught the thieves. It's the South African Reserve Bank. If you speak to and read Stephen Goodson, is an ex-director of 9 years, non-executive, with the Reserve Bank.
Mm-hmm.
He's brought out 2 books. And he's got names, dates, documents, and everything, and amounts delivery notes in the book, so we know who the thieves are. It's the Reserve Bank.
Okay,
That's
so
who
you
it
got,
is.
so,
And we
so,
need to be
so you got to bring it down to the people's level. Then I always one of the things that I like to say is if you want to take down the beast, you don't cut off his head because it'll grow a couple back. What you do is you take him out the knees, and so you've got to. So what you're talking about, the reserve banks and the central banks, that's something that people. I agree with you. We already know they're crooks, and we already know what there's a lot of stuff that they're doing, but it doesn't do anything for the common person. So how do you bring it down to the common person's level, to the individual?
well, we know where they live.
Well, yeah, but
We know where they live.
But that's
so we go to their houses and we wave at them and say, we know where you live, and walk away. And then we start doing the terrorism thing that they do to us, intimidating us with legal bullies and notes. And what we start doing is applying liens and drag them out from behind their legal jurisdiction of maritime admiralty into the private domain and kick the shit out of them.
Well, that's a solution. That's one solution. But I
was going to come back.
What I was talking about with bringing it down to the ordinary person is bringing it down to a level of why am I giving them, providing people the answers why they lost their house, why are they losing their jobs, why is their life not getting any better, why is their credit destroyed, and if you can bring an understanding to that, then that's where I think the change is at, because this is, and then again going back into the courts, you go back in on contract law and you because this is what solves people's problems. This is what puts answers into people's hands for which they can react to.
Yeah.
Good. I like it. I like it. I don't like it enough, but I like it.
Coming back to Bitcoin,
I agree with you. I'd love to go by bankers' houses and flip them the bird or toilet paper their house or throw eggs at their wives or something, but that doesn't solve it.
We need to make. Can you imagine if you were a little Joe Soap in the courtroom and some bent judge does something to you that you don't like, right? You get his name, you get his ID number, and what you do is you apply a commercial lien with using a fee schedule, and you apply that lien to him over 90 days. It perfects. If you leave it like that, it's valid for 99 years. And if you drop it into a trust, it lasts forever. Now, can you imagine this little Freemasonic judge who's got his wife and the kids in America, and they're going over for their kid's wedding, right?
Yeah.
So the woman goes in to buy some clothes at one of these boutiques, and she gets some shoes and a handbag and a nice outfit and all that. And when she goes to swipe her credit card, it declines.
Yeah.
And she phones her husband. She phones her husband, Judge Mason, and says, look, there's something wrong with the credit card. He says, don't worry about it, love. Just use this other number, or I'll sort it out now. I'll find out on Monday. On Monday, he contacts the bank. And the bank says to him, oh, there's a problem because there's a lien against your property. And it's Alan Madden. He's put a lien against your property, and there's not a judge in the world that can reverse it. No one can touch it. And it's cheap and nasty. Doesn't cost you anything. Maybe a couple of notarized documents and an administrative process. Look at the White Rabbit. Commercial lien's the most potent weapon on YouTube. You might find it's gone off, but I've got it. And we've done a training course on this, and we've started to apply it.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Can you imagine the power? And this is what I'm talking about, 180 degrees. There's no violence necessary. He's going to get violence from his wife when the MasterCard has declined and says, because Alan Madden or Ken Dost has put a commercial lien against your property, and you better go and talk nicely to Alan Madden.
I like that idea.
Well, that's a common law process, Alan, and the view that they have of common law here in South Africa. I don't know about the other countries, but I know commercial lien is a common law process. And
it is a common law process, but a notarized document and the man on the land in the court can dominate that public servant. You just need to know how to do it.
I like that idea. I like that. Yeah, tie up the bankers that way. I mean, I like that. Should be kicking.
It's cheap and nasty. Costs you 20 rand a page of a notarized document and just some wording and correct procedure. You've got to follow if it backfires, you go to jail. Okay? Yeah. If it backfires, you go to jail. So be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just now learning about the common law and private or public grand juries and public grand jury systems and common law, and it's a way to go. I think it's definitely like Baltimore. For Baltimore, they're raising convening a grand jury. Well, why not convene a grand jury for our instances with foreclosures and with the fraud that's going on?
Yeah. But coming back to the Bitcoin thing, I know Max Kaiser, I think last year I watched one of his programs where he came out with something called Bitcoin bullion. So he combined Bitcoin with gold bullion. And he said that's going to be the 1-2 knockout punch, for the banksters. And I don't know how far that's gotten, though. But that was an interesting development, I thought, yeah.
Well, you think,
What about the...
Go ahead, Alan.
Go ahead, Ken.
No, go ahead.
You think about the guy who's sitting out in the sticks on a farm with a mud hut, and he doesn't know anything about Bitcoin. All he knows how to do is tend sheep or paint a fence. Now, why should that man starve? Why should he starve?
Right.
He can paint a fence or tend sheep, or he can teach somebody something. Now, why should that man, because he hasn't got Bitcoin, why should he starve to death or freeze to death or be denied medical care when it's in abundance? We've got it in abundance.
Who's to say that he's not going to have Bitcoin? Who's to say that he can't earn Bitcoin?
Well,
Bitcoin's just the currency. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know enough about it. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's just a decentralized currency. And that's what's so powerful about it. It's an open ledger. It's the work is done by everybody within the network. And ultimately the world is the thing is ultimately, and you don't need to know much about it besides the fact that this is a prominent solution, and they're trying to shut it down in every way they can. I wouldn't be surprised if it's themselves that are hacking and stealing these Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, if we revolt against them, what are they going to do? They're gonna own all the gold, but if we render it useless and worthless because of something as powerful as Bitcoin, then what is left for them to do?
Yeah, that's where, Bitcoin, if you're computer illiterate, like the guy tending his sheep, he doesn't have a computer, doesn't know what a computer is, then he can't deal in Bitcoin.
But who runs? Why does he deal in fiat currency from the central bank anyway? Why does he have that?
Well, that's
he probably has a bank account at the moment. They make the machine available to him to have his fiat currency. Basically, like we need to move past them, because cities around the world at the moment, you can't tell me that there's some farm out in the middle of nowhere that's dictating how we deal with currency.
Well, that's where the beauty of the community exchange system comes in. Although it's computer-based, it can also be run, non-electronically, just using paper. So
there's no reason that I don't think that something like the Bitcoin can evolve to that as well.
To the community exchange.
Yeah, sorry guys. I know I'm giving it a lot of energy here tonight, but the people, Bitcoin can also develop into something tangible. Ultimately, what are we doing with money? Was it not supposed to just represent the gold? Was it not supposed to just bypass the lust of having big fat gold coins on you, or a bag of gold if you wanted to go and purchase something? It was you turned it into bills of exchange. That's why the dollar initially, when backed by gold, was redeemable for gold, and so was the South African rand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the paper was just a receipt for the gold you stored with the goldsmith.
Exactly.
So you stored your gold and he gave you a receipt. And the receipt became we're
talking about using...
That's initially where the corruption kept in at that point, where you realized you could lend out more receipts than the gold that he had,
And
that's
basically,
where the corruption came in.
How we're going to avoid the corruption this time is basically if people take responsibility for themselves. If we actually take responsibility and we keep the network going, and that's what the Bitcoin is about. The people keep the network going. When you're part of the Bitcoin network, your CPU usage goes towards the processing of these transactions, and it's an open ledger. It's a completely open ledger. It's been demonized through the way it was used, because ultimately, I'll give you a quick rundown for you guys that don't know, is that there was this thing called the dark web, and it still exists, the dark web, where all sorts of things kind of popped up, and you were able to now suddenly buy cocaine wholesale off a website because they all operate through proxy servers. Seriously, they all operated through proxy service. Anonymity was like key to how this whole thing does operate. And it was all about. It started out in a legit way, as most things do, and it wanted to ensure your anonymity because of the way that Google and everybody else is spying on us, and everybody has access and they harvest all our information for their big corporate use, So it was set up with good intentions, but then it got twisted. And a lot of people started trading in this Bitcoin for the sake of the anonymity, along with the anonymity of the dark web. So it's been demonized in all these ways, and big Bitcoin kind of institutions have been hacked and so forth. But as far as I'm concerned, I can't see anything wrong with it. For anything to change on the Bitcoin network, for anything to change, everybody who's an administrator has to consent in it. It's a decentralized thing. It's a computer program. And it's got a finite amount, I mean, it's no more special than gold. At the end of the day, all we know is that at the moment they don't have a monopoly on it, on this Bitcoin thing, as far as we can tell. Maybe it's them that stole all the Bitcoins because it's an algorithm, and that's how it's accountable for itself. So
it's a patent.
It's a patent, but at the end of the day, it doesn't cost us anything to transfer to the Bitcoin. I mean, it is a patented system, I'm sure. And actually, I don't even think so, because apparently the guy that invented Bitcoin is this Japanese guy, or signed on as a Japanese guy, and it all developed in a chat room online. And he's anonymous, completely anonymous.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah, that's the guy.
And they say that's a combination of three companies: Sony, Toshiba, and what's the other one?
But let's.
I don't know how true that is, though. But who's patented it? I mean, if it is patented,
I don't think
it is.
Who's behind it?
I've seen Bitcoin patents, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it, and I didn't study enough about it to tell you who's behind it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very interested in the Bitcoin and that kind of solution, as in stepping away, like what they're doing in Cape Town. They've actually they formed the Republic of Cape Town, or the Republic of Good Hope, guys out of Cape Town, and they're forming communities. They are declaring themselves communities. They're now applying to use passports. They're making application. I've been hearing about this in talks for a long time, and who's to know how much success we're actually going to have with that kind of thing,
But you still got the underlying problem of the banks. You're still on the hook through them. I mean, that's an alternative system, but it doesn't solve the problems that with people's mortgages or people's credit or any of those aspects.
Yeah, you got to build an alternative, system, a parallel system, while we're sorting out the problems in this current system. But ultimately, we have to extricate ourselves from the current system, because there's no way people can really survive going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, this ship that we're on is heading for a date with disaster. If we don't do something about it. There's no way that we can avoid this disaster if we don't turn the ship around. Really, honestly, the way I see it, it's and again, it sounds very negative, but I'm just a realist. I don't see myself as a pessimist or an optimist. I just look at the reality of the situation, and all the signs are pointing to a future that's not very bright. But we can turn the ship around, and education is key. Taking back our sovereignty is key. Extricating ourselves from the system is very important, and those are the things we should start with, I think. But while we're dealing with the current problems that we face, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think knowledge is knowledge is everything, and understanding what has taken place here and what has happened to people's lives, and it's got to start somewhere. And to just dismantle the system, I don't see the system as being dismantled. I don't see it. I can't even see a solution, to be honest with you. And in the long run, I mean, it's going to be the system as it's going now is going to collapse. If it's going to collapse, and I would rather it collapse under the guise of knowledge that we know it's going on, and that we're bringing about the collapse essentially by going after the banks and calling them out, as opposed to the banks collapsing the system on us.
You see this, for me, it's very important, and to me, it's always been common sense that if you want to solve a problem, you got to get to the root cause of the problem. I mean, now, unfortunately, I was trained, in conventional medicine, disease management medicine, which doesn't deal with the root cause of a patient's problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so all you do basically is sort of superficially treat their symptoms. And that is why the patient never gets better. All he does is go back every month to his doctor for another supply of medication to keep him alive for the next month. And that's the business model of the disease management conventional healthcare system.
That's pharmaceuticals.
Medicaid. Now, the thing is, it doesn't get to the root cause. And so now there's something called functional medicine, which is really, I would say, almost the opposite of conventional medicine, because functional medicine strives to get to the root cause of a problem, of a patient's problem, then eliminate the cause, or if you can't eliminate the cause, then you advise the patient to avoid the cause as far as possible, and then the patient's problem goes away. Now, the same thing in society. What is the actual root cause of all the problems that we face in society? Now, that to me was a very interesting question, and I've tried to apply my mind to it. And that exactly is what I came to the conclusion, the word that I just mentioned, mind. I think the root cause is, and I mentioned it earlier on, is that people don't understand how their own minds work. Now, I'm not saying this in any negative way. It's just a fact. I mean, I myself didn't understand how my mind worked until I went and studied the mind a little bit further than what I learned at medical school. And because people don't understand how their minds work, those people who do understand how a human being's mind works and has diabolical intention is and has been controlling those people's minds who don't understand how their minds work. So that is the root cause, I think, of society's problems, is that people's subconscious minds are programmed with beliefs that those who are controlling them want them to believe. And unless we help people to reprogram their minds, we're never going to solve this problem, like you say, Ken.
You're absolutely right. I mean, what I say is that people need to be deprogrammed of everything that they've learned.
Absolutely.
And what have they learned? I mean, they've learned what I was talking about earlier. When you sign a mortgage loan, it's impressed upon you that it's paradigm. It's the same type of transaction that my folks went into and your folks went into when they purchased their house. And so we've been led to believe in some. We've been intentionally made ignorant by being taught and being it being represented to us that we have ownership, that what we're purchasing is a tangible product. So we've been engineered to become ignorant, essentially, and of course it's substantiated or it's imposed upon us. And by the various acts that are being committed against us, in terms of your collection agencies, because you're being kept down. So the more that you're kept down, the more that you're worried about your job, if you're going to have one, if your hours are going to get cut, if they're going to foreclose on you, is the interest rate going to go up? The more you're spent to concentrate on those issues, you can't think. Who can think outside of that?
Maybe we should call it programmed ignorance. It's almost like built-in obsolescence, where they build products, to last a certain time period, and then they basically just malfunction, so that you have to buy another one for the next period of time. So maybe it's programmed ignorance. Maybe that's what's going on.
You know what you just described? You described a fungible commodity. Is what you just decided, and that's exactly. But what you just described is exactly what they've created us. What they've turned us into. They've turned us into by stripping away our ownership. They've turned us into a fungible commodity because they bet upon when we're going to collapse. When are we going to default, or are we going to default? And if we're not going to default, then they engineer to ensure that we are going to default by some other means. So that's what we are. We're fungible commodities to them, and.
The system's designed so that most people, I would imagine, have to default. There's no other way out.
Well, and there's a reason for us defaulting because it's insurance payouts for them, and that's another problem of this. The other problem of this is that they've insured everything 6 ways to Sunday, and of course it's the way they trade, it's the way that securitization works, which a lot of people have no idea what securitization is. So it comes back down to education again, and people are led to believe and what they want us to believe. For instance, securitization. Securitization organization, they want us to believe, and this is in part true, that it's the pooling of loans, it's the gathering and pooling of loans for sale to an investment bank, and that investment bank deposits into an SPE, and they sell certificates of it. That by and large is true, but that's a fish trail basically that they want us to believe, and we believe it, because it's been pounded into us that we believe that. But
yeah, we program that way, Ken. I mean,
yes.
You go to school, they tell you what a loan is. Okay, in school you learn a loan is, this is what a loan is. You have something and somebody borrows it from you, and then you lend it to that person. That's a loan. You're lending something. So we have in our minds, we believe that this is what a loan is. So when you go to the bank and they say you're going to the bank for a loan, you don't question that, because subconsciously you believe that you're getting money. And that's where the deception comes in, because that is not what happens. So it's basically deception, misinformation.
But it is misinformation, because what they've done. Because really, if you think about it, if you get down to the bit, well, if you start laying out these facts and the stuff that I've uncovered and start talking about that, what they're doing is they're it almost goes opposite to the effect. They're trying to lure you into, okay, you can have home ownership, you can be a homeowner, but what they're doing is they're luring you into a life of enslavement, basically, because what they're doing is they're getting your signature, by which they can control you from all aspects, and they can take then they take everything away from you. So what we've become is we've become the betting chips for the elite, and we've got to deprogram ourselves from that notion and get away from the notion that we have ownership, because we don't have ownership, and this veil of deception has got to be broken, and that's really what it is. It's a layer of deception, and the people that can't think, they're too worried about their jobs, they're too worried about their futures, and how to put food on their tables for their kids, and their lives are just every day. So what do? We walk through life as robots, because we're just living just to survive.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day as well, I believe, this is what I believe, all property is theft. How can you claim to own anything in this world? We're only here for a finite amount of time as well. I believe inheritance is a sin. That's how these dynasties are created. You should not be able to leave something for your children. I don't believe in that. And okay, luckily I don't have any children, and all of you guys are going to say, yeah, you don't know until you have kids. But Alan, you still with us there, brother?
Julian, you don't know till you have kids.
Alan, are you still with us there, my brother?
You don't know till you have kids. Yeah, I am, yeah.
So tell us, you weigh in a little bit on this, like on what's been discussed. I don't believe we should be able to own anything. I think we should be able to lease the land, and yes, for the small.
We came into this world with nothing, and we leave with nothing.
If you're going to lease the land, fine. But the question is, who controls the lease of that land?
Okay, so the government, we need to put the government in the role that they're actually supposed to play. They're supposed to administrate the land for the people. Like at the moment, they've claimed ownership over it, like completely, and they're not accountable to the people anymore. It's a farce.
Of course, it's a farce. Of course, it's
and the government
farce.
Actually works for the central bank.
When exactly right. When you purchase a piece of property and you think that you have ownership of that, and somebody has turned you into a lesser on your own land, and they're making money through derivative investments off of your signature and your land, and they're profiting from that. Well, that's bull. I mean, give me my money back. Give me my money back. Pay me the money, because now
and that's what Alan was talking about earlier. Alan was talking about giving them an invoice for his time.
Well,
right,
basically,
Alan?
yeah. I mean, you want to solve the problems of the world? Fine. Let's solve the problems of the world. Let's define the fact that you don't have ownership. They've stolen ownership from you. They made you lesser upon your own land. Okay, fine. I want my ownership back. I want my money back. We disgorge the monies from them. And yes, what Alan said. Yeah, we slap them with liens.
You see, while I've been I'm listening along here, I've been making a few notes, and I'm a regular caller into radio shows, talk radio shows during the day and during the night and during the early hours. I call in under a radio name which I've had for 20 years, and I've actually spoken to two high-profile financial advisors, and one of them happens to have a primetime money show slot on 702. And I've written to him. And I've asked him the question, where did banks get money from? And he thinks that banks get money from other depositors and lend them out to us. You see? And this is the problem. This is a financial expert. And when I wrote to him, he said I was from off planet. So now I call myself Billy the Alien when I write to him, because I like to keep it kind of cordial or polite, you know. But the guy is abusing the airwaves, and he has these bankers and reserve bankers on the radio, and he's doing everything apart from giving them a blowjob live on air. And this is the problem, because these are just two guys we've got to deal with. One of them has got a daytime slot for an hour telling people how to get involved in compounding interest. Compound interest, the seventh or eighth wonder of the world. For crying out loud, that is so last century, man.
Yes.
So we've got this is just two guys. So the big enemy is mainstream media.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
the big enemy.
Well, and you're absolutely right, and that's what programs us. I mean, when the economy collapsed here in the United States in 2008, and everything was collapsing down, I watched, and at that point in time, that threw us into default, because I lost my 25 years in architecture, my business and everything, and so we were collapsing. And I literally watched as this sea of information swarmed over people, and all of a sudden people's minds started changing. It wasn't so much about, they weren't so angry with TARP anymore. They were more angry at the persons who lied on their mortgage loan applications and shouldn't be in their houses and should never got mortgages. So I watched this sea of information, of misinformation, just wash over people. It amazed me. It amazed me at how easily we are deceived, and how easily we buy into that deception.
Yep, that's
well, why do you think
true.
they call them TV programs? Why do you think they call them TV programs? Because they program you. It's the electronic hypnotist in the living room. You know, everyone's sitting there gaga in alpha state watching banking adverts get pummeled down in front of them and in front of their children. Let children loose in front of the television, free range. It's just not right, man. It's abuse. This is why people are going to come back and shoot their parents.
Well, you know what it bothers me these days is a lot of these shows, like these cupcake wars and all these shows where you parade, or you bake a cookie or bake a cake or bake or do something, and we're performing monkeys for this panel of judges who's deciding whether our cupcake was good enough or not. I mean, that's scary, man. That's scary, because it's putting us on display in front of a bunch of judges.
Well, you know, coming back to what Alan said about this financial consultant, he's a consultant, Alan. Yeah, and he believes that banks are intermediaries between savers or depositors and borrowers.
Yeah, his name's Bruce Whitfield.
And he probably believes this.
Right?
Yeah. Now, the thing is, he either truly believes it, or is trying to deceive people, one of the two. I was in an email discussion, although this professor calls it a debate, and I promise you, this professor, he either believes this, what I just said, that banks are intermediaries, or he was trying to deceive. But in his email discussion with me, and it was a very lengthy one, he displayed profound ignorance of how banks actually work. Absolutely profound ignorance. I was absolutely amazed at the lack of understanding by this professor of a business school who didn't actually know how banks worked, and he actually worked in a bank, a central bank, at some point in his career.
Yeah.
So this is either this is programming, or he's a deliberate deceiver, one of the two.
We've got professors at Rhodes, and we've got the same professor at Johannesburg University, who hasn't got a clue. He's a professor, and he teaches democracy. I've invited him to my house on Sunday to come and let me show him how democracy works with the reserve bank in place. And as soon as you put the phone down, then now you're an anti-Semite, and now you're ignorant, and they laugh and they scoff at you when the phone's put down. But live on air, they haven't got a clue. And these are professors. They are teaching your children, and you are paying a flipping fortune.
Yep.
So that's why I say, when I say education, what I should really say is re-education, because most people have been educated, but they've been miseducated. They've been fed the wrong information by people like these professors deliberately, and these people are part of the system, part of those people controlling the minds of humanity. And so what we need really is re-education, reprogramming, first deprogramming and then perhaps reprogramming. It's actually it's a serious situation, guys, very serious.
It's a very serious situation. I mean, I've read, and the foreclosure crisis, if you want to call it that over here, I've read lots of reviews and lots of papers on why it happened and how it happened and this and that. And I've yet to read one thing that actually tells the truth. And the one thing that actually tells the truth is the stuff that I'm coming out with and showing these patents. This is what the truth is.
Yeah.
I mean, get down, if you want to get down to the basic elemental facts, let's get down to the basic elemental facts. So everybody else
in a document they've released, Modern Money Mechanics, they're the facts lay, fractional reserve lending. It's all in their manuscript.
Yeah, but you know what? That's really archaic because the patents have kind of thrown that, and intellectual properties have kind of thrown out the window because what they've done is they've been able to, because they can derive value from anything that they want and anything that they create, and they can put a value to it. And as long as they can get a rating on it, and as long as they can market it and get marketing value on it and sell it to some yo-ho investor, then they've created value.
Yeah.
So,
You're exactly right. That's exactly how it happens, and that's it. And they're using us to do that. They're using you. They're using your child's birth certificate, and that's how it's all. That's how it's all derived. It's from your citizen. It's from your participation with the game. And that's why I keep on coming back.
But it's not your willing participation, it's your ignorant
Look, it's all invalid, but they've established it well.
That's the point.
They've used Hollywood, they've established it so well. They've got the monopoly on this. This game is being played like you were saying, Bruce Whitfield. Damn, I can't believe you got through to that guy's show. Because I never hear him taking calls anymore. I think it's mainly because of you.
He doesn't take my calls. I've got his email address, and I think I've reported him to his bosses as abusing and promoting propaganda. There's two things here that I want to just add before I forget. There's an end game here, and before I talk about the end game, I want to talk about interest and usury on money. You see, they print enough, or they allocate enough electronically for the money so-called in circulation, right? They don't ever print enough for the interest or create enough for the interest. But you know how they derive the interest? They repossess real assets. That's how they derive the interest for any newbies out there. And the end game, the end game is your smartphone. Have you seen what's going on with the smartphone? I mean, I sent out an email to confirm on a calendar on a meeting request the other day to confirm something. And lo and behold, I get into Johannesburg, and quarter of an hour before the meeting, it pops up on my phone, which is not even linked to my email, to remind me, Google, thank you so much,
knows everything about you,
to remind me that I'm ready for my meeting now. I haven't even linked it up.
Yeah.
So the smart cards and the zombie kids we've got and parents we've got, zombie glued to their bloody smartphones all the time. And the last year there was a big conference in somewhere in South Africa for the forensic cranial facial recognition technology, where you can walk through an airport now in Hong Kong, and through your facial expressions, when you look at a picture of, let's say, George Bush on the wall, they can see what you're thinking basically by your micro expressions in your face, and they can pick you out in a crowd in Pakistan on Facebook with the facial recognition.
That's frightening.
It's scary stuff. Have you seen that thing about ordering a pizza online in the Big Brother pizza? Just Google YouTube, go to YouTube and say, type in there, Big Brother orders a pizza. I mean, they can tell you. People diving into bins can tell when your wife is having a menstrual cycle by the purchases on the receipts. I mean, this is how bad it's getting.
Yes.
Where there's just absolutely nothing is secret. Nothing.
Nope.
Nothing at all.
That's right. Nothing at all. That's a disadvantage of technology. Well, the advantage of it is we can also use it to educate and to turn things around. But yeah, you're right. It's very frightening. I mean, all this stuff that's going on, the information, everything that they know about you, everything that could, mind reading technology, facial recognition, all that stuff. That's frightening.
And the only thing that's secret is what they keep secret, the truth.
Well, they're the warehouse of all our information. They're the warehouse of everything that we are.
We know that Google attend Bilderberg meetings, you know. The CEO of Google, at least, not those two founding guys. But they're in there. They're part of this capturing all our information, knowing everything about us. And the more they know about us, the better they can profile us. And the better they can profile us, the better they can sell things to us or sell ideas to us, if it's just that, you know. And that's why I keep saying.
That's what they put behind it. They put behind it, and they put the sales pitch on it that that we can help you out. You know, we can target. We can send you the products that you're interested in. You don't have to have all the other spam mail. We can, you know, that's the ploy. It's we know what you want, and we'll delete all the spam and all the ads that don't apply to you, and we'll just target you for what you buy and what you want, so you don't have to waste your time or anything. So we're helping you out. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Well, look, it's the global domination agenda, basically, that's playing itself out here, and it's getting more and more. It's sort of tying people down in such a way that very soon nobody's going to be able to move in any direction. You know, that jackboot is being pressed down on people's faces to such a degree that they won't be able to move very soon, and that's extremely scary stuff.
But if you look at,
it's the global domination agenda. You're going to be a complete slave, yeah.
If you look at the situation things that happen all over the world all the time, like Baltimore, all these riots that are happening all over, especially in the States, you know. I mean, if you look at something like xenophobia in South Africa, a lot of people, they don't understand what the xenophobia is all about. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, it's an economic thing. You know, these people are suffering. They're getting poorer. You know, they can't. Their labor buys them less and less. So all they're doing is striking out at a soft target. You know, the softest target that there is. The foreigners who outnumber them, that are actually doing that are getting involved and trying to do something for themselves. You know, because everybody's kind of running away from some sort of oppression, and that's why they're here. You know, so ultimately there is no winning in this. And if we keep fighting each other at the bottom, then that's where we're going to have problems, and we need to.
You see, there's no homeostasis in society. You know, for a body to operate effectively, you know, and optimally, you need to have sort of homeostasis. Everything must be in balance. You know, all the systems that operate in your body, whether it's your circulatory system, your respiratory system, your whatever system, they all must operate in harmony. They all have to be functional, and then you'll have a very healthy, happy person. Same with your society. You know, you need to have honest legal systems, honest healthcare systems. They all have to be functional, economic system, and then you'll have a happy, functional society. But the fact of the matter is, all our systems are completely rotten, dishonest, dysfunctional, and so that's reflected in how the people interact with each other. And so all this disharmony you're seeing is just a pure reflection of our dishonest systems, really. And we need to get back into homeostasis, which is a big task actually. But
but you know, it's going to come about. I mean, there's going to be a collapse in society. It just depends on how society is going to
react to it. Exactly.
React to it exactly. You know,
that's why we need to educate them. That's why we need to get involved and start telling them what's actually going on. You know, so that we don't look to the same people that gave us these problems to give us new answers, to basically set us up again for their dynasties to run another 100 years, so that they can keep on ruling over us. I mean, this has been going on since the time of the Queen.
Yep. I would rather have the system collapse and people know why it collapsed or brought about the collapse, as opposed to the collapse being brought about on us, because then we don't have any control of it. But if every one of us tomorrow went in and filed a lawsuit against the banks for mortgage fraud, and that's going to have an impact, and that's going to have a huge impact. And what's that impact going to do? It's just going to create strife in the banking system. I would rather have the system collapse that way than have it going like it is now and collapse with everybody still being a sheeple and not realizing what the hell's going on.
That's exactly how they want it to go down. They've designed that system just like that, and it's going to go down like that unless we intervene, unless we each one teach one, and we each one we positive, and we really get out there and spread the message, and we go and drop our banners. Because I know, like, a guy like Alan is active, man. You've been like walking on streets with placards on main streets here in Johannesburg, have you not? So that's what we must all be doing.
Done lots of that,
That's what we all need.
I've done lots of solo things as well. You know, I've been putting stuff on lampposts and stupid little things, but they seem to work, and I get a kick out of it. I have a good laugh, My life is not, I'm not a bitter old fart. I have a good laugh every day of my life. I mean, the subject that we've got is terrible. I mean, for people that are going through it, like I know Ken's going through a torrid time right now, and a lot of people are, and my heart goes out. But I'm not. I've never been in debt to a bank. I've never had a problem with a bank, ever. I have no vendetta with the bank. Johan Hubert died. I met him in '98, and he said, we're going to go onto TV, onto Good Morning South Africa, and we're going to tell the nation why we're not going to pay income tax. And I said, great, Johan, but I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. And then over the years, we lost touch. And then when I Googled him, he turned up dead. So that's why I started these groups. And I don't sit with little black dolls or sticking pins into banker dolls, voodoo dolls. I'm not consumed by this. I mean, I'm a musician. I've got a band. I've got a life. I was at a rock concert all day today. I have a good time. I have a couple of beers now and again. So I'm not sitting here like an old, jaded, grumpy old man. I have a laugh. But this situation, I have to be able to fight for people that can't fight whilst I can, because I can tell you, it's only a matter of time before I'm going to run out of steam and they're going to come after me, because I do have a credit card, which has been used, but I don't have any other real debt, to be honest. Well, I use it for business.
They need new recruits. You know, they're setting up. They've got the way I look at it, they got millions upon people in the first engineered collapse, and now they're setting up the next one. So if they didn't get you in the first one, they're going to get you in the next one.
Well, this is the thing. That's why I look forward, and that's why I'm fervently and ferociously trying to consume as much information as I can, because I want to start. What I'd like to do is, and I've been 3 years at it now, more or less 24 hours a day. I want to start as the plaintiff, dragging bankers into courtrooms.
Yes.
That's what I want to do, because that's a very different situation. There is a lot of power you can do if you know how to do that. And it's not that difficult. You just got to have a set of balls and a bit of info. You've got to have a good info, though, because if it goes wrong, you go to jail. So I don't want to be like Bob Faust or Bill Cooper or Santos Bonacci or Clifford or even Rob Bernard now, I believe, is on a wanted list. I don't know how true that is. It's hearsay at the moment. And I don't want to turn up dead like Johan Hubert. I don't want to. And it's a fine line. You can't just jump. If you're married and you've got kids, you can't just jump. It's impossible. Even if you're a single guy. There's guys out in Canada living out their vans doing carpentry work. I salute them. I respect them big time. But I'm not prepared to do that. I like my comforts, and I like order. I like structure. I like rules. I like it. I don't like arseholes. People must obey the rules of the road. And if I'm driving with false plates or funny plates on my car, which I'm not yet, but when I do one day, I better be really squeaky clean. And if I have my plates that are changed to a Freeman plate, there better be a way that if I kill a baby in a pram, the police can find me. Because you need to be responsible. I know of guys that change their number plates and they don't do anything else. So if they cause an accident and someone dies, they can't be traced. I mean, that's just irresponsible.
But if we do it as a society, then it's responsible. You know, if they can come to the society and trace it, if it's just a record, if it's just a registration like it should be, then we should be square. You know what I'm saying? But at the moment, it's not just that. You know what I'm saying? They basically claim ownership or usufruct right of your property once registered with the state. So yeah.
Well, my answer for a solution is bringing out the patents, bringing out all these processes, making them public, educating people on that, and going after these bastards in court en masse.
Yeah. I admire that. I admire that very much. My solution is commercial liens and terrifying them. Just pop over to their house and just wave at them as they're driving in the driveway. Okay. And put your name on a big piece of paper so they know who you are.
So, guys, we've just about hit 2 hours.
I'm having a laugh, okay?
We've just about hit our 2 hours here. Our conversation has been a little bit here, there, and everywhere this evening, but I think it's nice. I enjoyed it.
Very nice.
We got some things off our chest as well. And thanks very much for your participation again this week. This is mainly going to be available as recording now because we had so many problems with our stream this evening. But now we've been going for the last 25 minutes almost solidly, so nothing seemed to be hindering us there. But a lot of our listeners have left us, I'll tell you that much. Just another little point here from our chat room. Lita is back once again from last week, saying that they were going to go and do this in court or something to the effect of claim no contract in court on the Wednesday. And then he basically replies here that court in SA do not care about valid agreement or contract. All they're concerned about is you got the house. Therefore, the bank lent you the money. Okay, that was just something I needed to read out from the chat room.
Well, like I said, yeah, it's not going to be one person that does it. It's got to be
a lot. Yeah, exactly. That's why. Yeah. And when you talk about, when I wanted to just add my 2 cents in there for what I'm trying to do as a solution, and it's this, it's do these recordings, gather you guys, let you guys connect from everywhere across the world, and all us like-minded people have a voice somewhere, put it online and stream it out to people and engage with people. So that's my bit. Education. I want to do documentaries as well. I'm a filmmaker. On all these kinds of things. So that's my solution. It's just spread the word. I'm trying to teach as many as I can. And I do try and teach as many people as I meet every day about this. Not that many of them are interested, to be honest with you. Lots of them are just, they believe in the system. They couldn't see a way without the way that things are done at the moment. They've been well sold.
Remember, critical mass doesn't mean the mass.
No. I get you. But it's like it's about finding us. It's about having us all come together. You know what I'm saying? We like those pieces of styrofoam in water that need to just cling to each other and form our own body and declare ourselves a people, so that everybody else realizes, this is something that's going on, and gravitate toward it naturally, like it will happen. You know what I'm saying? We're all those little individual pieces of styrofoam in the water. So guys, thanks for tuning in once again this week. Thanks again to our guests. Faiz, have you got anything that you'd like to say in closing? Because I think we've tapped off at about 2 hours on a recording here now. So I think that's a healthy kind
I just want to quickly say, just a closing remark really, that, I mentioned the systems must harmonize if you're going to have a harmonious society, but I think it's going to be impossible. I actually don't think, but I know, to try to get the systems to harmonize using unnatural or man-made laws with admiralty law, whatever man-made laws or statutes, it'll never, ever happen that the systems will harmonize using these laws. You actually have to go back to natural law, which is real law. And I think that's the only way forward, really, is for people to start following natural law. But anyway, I want to thank Ken once again for joining us, and Alan. Thank you, Alan. You guys were fantastic again. Pity about the technical glitches, but these things happen. We can't really foresee them. Anyway, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me again.
Ken. Cheers, guys.
And
Cheers,
we'll do it again. Thanks,
See you,
man.
Alan. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're listening to ZATR Talk Radio. This is ZATR Talk Radio.
Follow us on Twitter at ZATR Talk Radio.